Hello, welcome to the It's All Good show. My name is Denise Belisle, and I'm a serenity expert and positive intelligence specialist. In my show today, I have a guest, which is Laura Vann-LaRusso, English communication skill and coach. But before we go there, I would like to introduce you to why I call this show It's All Good. Lucas here for a chat. Well, obviously, I have guests coming up every week. This show goes live every Monday at noon Pacific. And I'm always exciting to have amazing guests that I meet in my journey of exploration and networking. And when I meet someone that I feel that could be a good match for you to benefit from their knowledge and their experience, I bring them in and I'm super excited to interview them. And also why it's called It's All Good. Well, it's because my favorite cup, it says it's all good on it. And it's a way of living. It's I didn't realize as I had the cup and as I live my life that we were matching. We're a match made in heaven. And because for me, when I things happen to me, whether it's in the past or whether it's things that are coming up in the future, I try to look at it with open eyes and to see that what's the gift in all these situations that are happening in my life. It's not always easy and it doesn't always come, oh, here's the gift. But my job is to find it. It's to find that gift, is to play the curious investigator and say, oh, what can beautiful thing can come out of this situation? What can I learn from that experience? And how can I help myself and help others through what I'm going through right now? And maybe I can bring that forward to other people. And that's how a lot of my coaching skill came about, is to live my life the way I've lived my life and learning tons from my personal experience and then bringing that forward to help my clients, to support them and move forward. And I would like to encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/ at Denise Belisle. And I have all the interview that I have done in the past over a year and a half now. And all the people I've interviewed every Monday. There's so many amazing people there. And I have a few shorts there too. If you like to watch shorts, you can just look all my shorts. And also, I would like to invite you to book a call with me if you feel that either you want to be on the show and then you would like to be one of my guests, or if you would like to have a conversation with me to see if we're a fit. And if we decide to work together, I guarantee you that if you're not satisfied, if it doesn't work, you get your money back, or I'll work with you until it's working. And because I have in my heart that I want to help people, and that's my duty in life, is to support people and empower them to become more serene and peaceful. And that's what I want to do. So now let's welcome my guest, Laura Vann-LaRusso, and let's find out who she is. So let's welcome Laura. Hi, Laura. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here, Denise. I love your energy and your message, and it's a privilege to be here. Thank
Oh,
you.
oh, you're very welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you. And Laura was referred to me by somebody we both know, and I interview him for my show. He'll be coming up in a few weeks, and then he said you have to talk to Laura. And here we are. We talked, we liked each other, we love each other, and then I said, yeah, come to my show. I would love to interview you. So Laura, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, who you are, and how did you become an English communication skill coach?
Oh, my pleasure. Okay, so who I am is I am a dedicated advocate and coach, and I believe in helping people, as you say, discover their true gifts and talents through my coaching services. And what I focus on is English communication skills for advanced speakers of English as a second or new language. And where I come from is
People like me.
yeah, yes, people like you, yes, professionals with all kinds of gifts and talents and skills who just want to maybe improve their
Hmm.
pronunciation or increase their confidence or whatever their particular and personal needs are. Um,
Perfect.
and where I come from Brooklyn, New York, which Brooklyn, New York, USA.
Mhm.
I often joke that I was kidnapped here and dragged here as a result of marriage, but that's okay. I've been living here in Brooklyn for more than 30 years now,
Mm.
and I like it very much. It's we have every kind of person, every kind of race, nationality, and religion here. You can
Yeah.
enjoy the multicultural environment, and
Mm.
there's all kinds of great food and language and music here in this borough in New York City.
Yeah, one day I would have to go visit New York. I drove by a couple times, but
Mm-hmm.
I never really stopped and visit New York, and it's a beautiful city, for sure.
Well, you have a free invitation. Please come,
Oh,
come. Let me know when you get here, and I will give you the Brooklyn tour for
ooh, that would
sure.
be awesome. From a local, that's the best way to do it, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. And then what else? Your other question was, how did I become a communication
Mhm.
coach? Okay, so as we know, the pandemic, oh boy, that really impacted all of us, right? It was sort of, I had this opportunity and I decided to take advantage of it. For years, for about 15 years, I was a traditional classroom ESL teacher, and
Okay.
I had been teaching adults in workforce development programs, helping them become job ready, in increasing their confidence in their interviewing skills and their
Yeah.
resume development. And I thought, well, this is great, but it's not enough for me. I enjoy a challenge.
Yeah.
So the challenge of the pandemic helped me to feel motivated to embrace my personal challenge of trying to start my own business. And so here we are now.
Oh, that's great. So you use your skill of ESL to work with professional and I'm sure individual that really wants to work on their accent regardless of
Mhm.
where they come from in
Yes.
order to have a better pronunciation in English. I have to be careful now, I feel like I'm,
No,
being
don't
tested,
worry.
But I feel that, there's always, for me, the way I see it is
Mhm.
I feel my English is fairly good, considering that I'm French Canadian,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't want to be accentless because I feel like it's being French from Montreal. It's part of my identity. It's part of who I am.
That's
And but I know sometimes there's a word I'm like, how do I say that? Like they sometimes it would come very naturally, and some of
mhm.
the time the same words would be like, I don't know. How do I say that? It's so weird. The brain works in mysterious way.
How can I translate? Sometimes we're translating from back and forth between the two languages. Well, first I
Yeah.
want to say that your accent is beautiful, and we all have accents. Unfortunately for me, I have this
New
New
York.
York accent, and sometimes I don't like my accent. I get very annoyed with it, and I try to be conscious of it. But it's not a negative to have the
No.
accent, right? We just have to work on the clarity. And the thing about empowering people and helping them find their gifts as a communication coach is that I let me slow down. I get so excited. I respect your expertise. And you're coming to me as a professional with
Mhm.
expertise. You have deep knowledge in a given subject area or many, many subject areas. So I am only here to create a bridge for that aspect of English communication that the client or you, the professional, wants to address. Right.
Mm.
So it's not a traditional grammar program that I offer. We don't need to waste time with that. We need to have a time together where we assess, okay, what really makes you nervous? What are the skills that you want to address personally? They could include just social English also, like small talk,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
or can you please explain this informal English to me, or these idiomatic expressions
Yeah.
people keep saying, what's up? What's up? I don't know. The sky? What are they talking about? So, those are other aspects. And more importantly, they don't waste time,
Mhm.
right? We get right down to what you want to work on.
Yeah. I remember when I first started to work on myself with my pronunciation and all that. And that was about, because
Mm-hmm.
I decided to go to Toastmasters. That was in 2012, I think. So 11, 12 years ago, something
Mm-hmm.
like that. And then when I first joined, then that's what allowed me to really pay more attention, right, to the word I was saying, how I was saying it, not adding so much, like all these filler
The
words.
filler words, yes.
I'm doing my best. Still say them from time to time. But if
Mm-hmm.
I'm recording, like if I'm in an interview with you like now, or if I do a recording, I'm really paying attention. It's like if I was to give a speech, I'm being careful of pausing instead of saying those filler words and all of that. But when I first started, I would say first, second, third, but I
Right.
would say first, second, third.
Right.
And then I heard a French Canadian doing a video on YouTube. She has her channel, and she said the word third instead of third. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I used to say that."
I did that too.
I did that too.
But
You know?
even native speakers, sometimes even as me, the coach, I will have to be aware of certain phrases I might say repeatedly. You
Mhm.
know, you know, you know, and I listen back and I say, "Hey, you're the communication coach. Why do you keep saying you know?" So we all have certain habits that
Yeah,
are ingrained, and we just have to forgive ourselves for not being perfect because we do not
of
have to be
course,
perfect
of course.
and focus on clarity. Clarity is the most important skill, right?
Mm,
It's not accent or an occasional filler word. It's when I'm speaking to you, am I appealing to you? Are you understanding me? Are
yeah,
we creating good communication between one another? Hmm.
exactly. That's
Hmm.
that's perfect. That's
Hmm.
perfect. I remember when we talked before, you said that something that, touched me, and you said our greatest limitation are the one we place on ourselves. Would you like to elaborate on that? I think it's beautiful.
My pleasure. So I'm going to get a little personal, but not too long about it. The thing
Go
is
ahead.
that, okay, okay. Um, gee, I'm not 25 anymore, but that also means that I have a world of experience and I have a physical disability in addition to these 15 years of this teaching and now coaching experience. And the reason I like that phrase about the greatest limitations are the ones that we place on ourselves is, Denise, I have to tell you, I was always the kind of kid from when I was little. If everybody was going right, I was going left. If somebody said to me, you cannot do it, then I had to be on a mission
You
to
gotta
prove to
try it.
you,
Yeah, you gotta
right,
do
to
it.
prove to you that I was going to do it. And I believe that that is our greatest challenge in life. We have to look at those things that are limiting to us, whether they are self imposed or whether they are projected onto us by others. And we have to determine, is this a true limitation? And if it is, how can I get help to recover from it or redirect myself? And if it is not a real limitation, then how can I change my mindset to think of this challenge differently? And that's why I believe in that our greatest limitations are those that we place on ourselves. And I truly believe it and I live it every day.
And how do you bring that into helping your clients?
Well, my clients, as I mentioned, that come to me, there have been lawyers, they've been advocates, they've been human resource professionals, and they come to me sort of like um, feeling that because of their expertise, they feel embarrassed maybe sometimes that they want to explore the idea of needing help with their language skills in English. And so, what I do to empower them is I remind them of their expertise.
Hmm.
I remind them that that never goes away. And I also work with them by creating a targeted and individualized program that addresses step by step what they need to do to create a bridge between their expertise and their primary goal, whether that is to present in English with more confidence, to be more comfortable with small talk, to work on their pronunciation skills, whatever their personal objectives are. Mhm.
And so you say that each program that you create for your clients, it's personalized because everybody comes to you with their own needs, right?
Yes.
So what would could you give me like a case study of someone that came to you and like a anonymous, client, that you work with, that how they came to you and when they finished working with you, how they had transformed?
Yes, I have a wonderful story I can share with you, and you will appreciate this. This particular person was a lawyer, and I will not divulge the location, but she was international and she was a lawyer and she had many years of experience
Mm-hmm.
and she spoke English as a second language. Now, she spoke English as a second language, again, at the high intermediate to advanced level,
Mm-hmm.
but she was the only woman in the office. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and she was the only woman who was a speaker of English as a second or new language. So, those two components, being female and being a second language speaker, made her feel self conscious. And her supervisors were sort of giving her a hard time because the language she spoke was Spanish, and this pace of Spanish is a lot quicker than
Yeah.
English. So she was always hearing, "You need to slow down. You need to slow down. Well, you're speaking too quickly." And she took my 10-week program. We worked on pacing. I
Yes.
provided her with some TED Talks to listen to. I've recorded her speaking. We had conversation. She then presented to her team, and her supervisor was there to evaluate her. And she sent me a lovely message saying, "I just want you to know that the higher ups in this law firm came to me and said, we notice a big difference in the way that you're presenting in English." And she said, "Thank you very much. My communication coach has helped me." And
Oh,
I was
that's
so
great.
happy for her. Yes, yes.
So I can see when major advantage from that, because I speak fast too, even in English. And sometimes I re-listen to the recording that we make, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's fast. You know,
Right.
and when I present, it's also I'm a little bit like I'm thinking also like that you just mentioned, like I kind of saw myself into that lady, and then
Mhm.
I'm thinking when I present, I wouldn't have to prepare so much material if I was to speak slower, because then it takes longer to explain what I have to say, and then I wouldn't have to present so much. So it made me think of that when you said that. And also I've thought about that in the past, for me to pause more and to speak slower. And if people want to listen to it faster on the recording, they can just do time 1.25 or 1.5.
That's true. That's true. But the thing is that when you work with me, I give you specific strategies that can help you. For example, I advise this particular client to remember to count to three in her head. Before someone asks a question, you don't have to say, "Okay, the answer is da, 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 da." No, no, no. Just, okay, they ask a question. What do you mean by this topic or this case, whatever it may be?
Yeah.
And in your head, you go 1, 2, 3, not out loud, of course, but internally, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
1, 2, 3. You can do breathing exercises before you present. Make sure to take a deep breath. We even did it together before we got on this platform. Yes,
Hmm.
it's a very normal way. Breathing, pacing by counting, making sure that you have a little bit of water with you, making sure that you are keeping your body straight and you're open, you're smiling, you're friendly. Those simple strategies, believe it or not, even though they're simple, they're highly effective.
That these are great tips, and I will take advantage of that. And I hope that whoever is listening will take advantage of that too. And have you also helped people that have English as first language to
Mm-hmm.
help them into becoming better communicator?
Definitely. Listen, I'm not leaving my monolingual brothers and sisters out of here, although I am trying to learn Spanish as best I can. The thing is that even if you only speak one language, first of all, poor you, because it's always better to speak more than one language. But I'm there, I only speak one language. We face struggles also. We have lack of confidence. When I get nervous, it might happen even a little now. My voice will go higher and higher and higher. So I have to remember,
Bring it
again, the
down.
breathing, bring it down. So I serve those folks as well. And I've
Mm-hmm.
worked with, for example, advocates, advocates who were running nutritional programs all throughout New York City, advising different communities about the importance of health. And
Mm-hmm.
they would say, "Ah, I speak English even better than you." And I said, "Just maybe so, maybe so. But we need to work on your confidence, because when you are faced with an audience, I see all the blood leave your face. And we need to remember that you are the expert." So we have confidence building exercises, practices with presentation, talking about why we're nervous, and what to do to ease that nervousness when we're speaking publicly.
Oh, that's awesome. And obviously that applies to first language and second language, people for sure.
Yes,
And talking about Spanish, I'm learning Spanish too. I've been using the app Duolingo for 136 days,. I think,
that's great. Hmm.
And I was recommended Babel earlier this week. So it's another platform to learn second
Yeah,
language. So
I
I'm gonna
like
check it out.
Babbel. Babbel is quite good also.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
gonna check it out because
Mhm.
I decided I wanted to. Two languages wasn't enough. I want three. So
Yeah. I That's another thing too. I want to really make sure that people understand that my program has those three components, right? It's speaking, improving your speaking and communication skills. Your presentation skills is the second part, and also respect for cultural awareness, which means
mm,
people have to respect your culture as well. And sometimes when an English skills communication coach comes forward, the client might say, "Hey, I feel judged. Maybe I feel judged because I have an accent, or I feel judged because I struggle with a certain aspect of English." And I'm here to say, no, 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 not with me and not with my program. My
mhm.
program is about respecting you, what you have to offer, and helping you to get all that much better.
Yeah, and it's important to by building that confidence, I think, to take whatever people tell you as a remark, a comment, but not to plaster yourself with it and make it your identity, right?
Right.
If somebody can give you a comment, that's great. They will help you perhaps or perhaps not. But
Hmm.
one time I have an example of that for me, I was like, perhaps not. And what happened is I was working in a group setting to prepare for getting ready to do a presentation, which was kind of led with the group. And what we were doing is reading a text because
Hmm.
the presentation is super long. So we say that it's okay to read the text, but that's why
Right.
we're practicing reading it, so it comes naturally. You read it, but it's like if you were speaking.
Yes.
And and because I have an accent, and sometime I forget the S, sometime I add an S, even though it's written, just doesn't come out, or it comes out as the wrong place, but the message is still there and people still understand.
Yes.
And I do my best when I read a text to read it the way it is, but it's sometimes I escape. But what that person had said is, "Oh, you forgot to say the S, so you didn't do that." Like, she was very nitpicky. And then she said, "Maybe before you start the presentation, you should tell people, well, I'm French." And I was like, "No, I don't have to," you know? So
Yes.
I was, in a sense, I was like, I don't have to do that.
Right.
People understand, obviously, that I'm French. and the message is the message. Whether I said, for example, I'm reading your quote here, our
Hmm.
greatest limitations are the ones we place on ourselves. But even if I would say our greatest limitation are the one that we place on ourselves, you still understand the message, right? If I forget to put the S at the end.
True.
right?
And and I really appreciate that you shared that story, because I mentioned to you that I have this physical disability. I don't emphasize it a lot in terms of my coaching business, because I want people to focus on my primary services, but I do think it's important to bring it up here,
Yeah,
because human beings have a very bad habit. I have another word for it,
yeah, it's
but
okay.
I will say bad. They have a bad habit of, we judge one another. And I also have been in situations when I was much younger. I worked as an advocate before becoming an educator,
Right.
and then before becoming this coach.
Yeah,
And I remember I walked in and I was the presenter. And the person, this was an agency for people with disabilities, and it was talking about job readiness, and I was the presenter. And when I walked in, the woman said, "Take your yellow folder and sit down right over there, because the presenter isn't here yet." And I just said, "Okay, first of all, let me count to 10. Well, let me count to
yeah.
20."
Let's
Okay, let me
the steam coming out of your ears.
Right. And I said, I really appreciate your concern, but I have to let you know that I am the presenter. I am the presenter. I am the one who will be presenting this information for your clients today. So when we realize that people have a habit of judging us,
Yeah,
we have to remember that that is also our opportunity to enlighten them, to educate them. Now, you don't feel like educating everybody all the time. Sometimes you're tired and you're
yeah.
just
Sometimes
tired.
you just let it go.
You just let it go. But other times it's a good opportunity for a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, it's interesting that you have that perspective. You're welcome to it, but my message is still clear. Gee, it's interesting you had that perspective, but I'm not a client. I am the presenter. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's always a way to kind of get that person to think, you know, to
Yeah,
to kind of say, "Oh, oops, maybe I
yeah.
should think about it."
And think about it for next time, not to do the same mistakes, right?
Yes, yes, we don't have to get to fisticuffs. We're like fighting, but we can say in a strong and confident way, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I appreciate your perspective, but actually, this is my intention, or this is
Yeah,
who I am."
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I feel that often, especially because I am second language being English,
Hmm.
there are and woman.
Hmm.
Hello,
Yes.
there we are often like as French Canadian, minority French Canadian. Let's put it this way.
Hmm.
Um, there has been time where people are judgmental or condescending or
Definitely.
not as much now, but when I
Mhm.
was younger, people would be like more like "Nah, nah, 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 nah," right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's an exercise on ourselves,
Hmm.
but to really, and I think that's what you might do also with your clients, right? To support
Definitely.
them to stand on their 2 feet and to be more assertive into what they need to say,
Yes.
because often I would meet people that are English second language and they have such a hard time expressing themselves. And I totally understand them. But what I tell, even though they sound,
Hmm.
sorry to say that, stupid, right? Because
Hmm.
they can't express themselves properly. So they
Hmm.
sound stupid. I don't say they are.
Right.
But what I tell myself is, oh my goodness, I'm sure if these people could express themselves in their first language, how wonderful they would be able to explain what they're trying to say right now. Right. So
Yes.
that's what I'm trying to think in my mind when I get a little bit, you know, uh,
Self-conscious.
self-conscious about what the way they come, whatever they try to say comes out. And
Right.
then I put myself in their shoes and I say, if they could speak their language, how wonderful what they have to say would come out, because that's what they're comfortable in, that's where they have their confidence, that's where they have their strength, and the power to them to work on expressing themselves in a second language
Right.
and being able to get their message across. I lift my hat to them because I'm there, I've been there, right? And I'm totally supporting them, but it's easy to judge even me, right, when I listen to them. And
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, come on, get to the point. But I'm like, no, they're working their ass off to be
to
able
get
to
it.
formulate their message into a succinct way that they can express it because their vocabulary is limited and that they can be understood. So we have to build our patience and empathy
And
towards
I was just
people.
going to say, and our empathy.
Yeah.
Because one thing I used to when I taught in the public school system, I did that for about 6 years, and I had grades like grades 9 through 12. And when I had my beginner level students come to me, they would say, "Oh, I'm worried if I say the wrong word or something," and I would say, "What is your home language?" They might say French, or they might say Spanish,
Yeah.
uh, or they might say Chinese, and I would say,
Yeah.
"Have you heard my French? Have you heard my Spanish? Have you heard my Chinese? It's terrible. In fact, I don't even know what word to say." So it's the idea is, yes, we all have limitations and challenges in life, but as you say, what is your response, not your reaction?
Yeah.
What is your response to your challenge? You are certainly not the first person who has tried to improve their English. So that means that there are other people out there who can have empathy for your experience,
Mm,
and coaches and support groups and all kinds of great resources that can help you to respond to your challenge instead of reacting to it.
yeah.
Hmm.
So what do you think of Toastmasters? Would you recommend that to people?
No, because they should take me.
But
but
they
but
could work with you and do
yes, that's
Toastmasters.
true. I listen. I have heard very good things about Toastmasters,
Mm,
and I have a few colleagues that have taken it for themselves.
yeah.
And I think that everyone needs to go where they are fed. So if Toastmasters is a good program and feeds you in a way that supports your communication journey, shall we say, then yes, definitely you should do that.
I think you can be a very good complement to Toastmasters because for especially for people that are very uncomfortable speaking in the second language, because you would
Hmm.
work on their mindset to
Hmm.
allow them to have the power and the strength to go and speak in front of a small group of people. And their assignment with you could be transplant into a Toastmaster meeting where people will evaluate them and give them critique, and then they can bring that back to you and
Yes.
then say, hey, this is my evaluation and how can we improve on these, right? The
Yes.
things that I was told to improve. So I think you could be a good complement.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Denise. My attitude is the more, the better. Anything that can help you become stronger and more confident
Hmm.
is good. For it depends on what you need and how you want to coordinate the two things. And then when
Yeah.
we make a meal, we add all different spices, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so everyone has to determine. For me, the benefit of my program is it's 10 weeks, it's online, it's designed specifically for you, the professional, and it's there to address your individual needs, and it's very highly private and confidential as well.
Wonderful. So I have here, how can people reach you? So here it is. So if people wants to reach Laura and have a conversation with you, they can reach you at your email,
Mhm.
lvlrights@gmail.com, or go look her up on LinkedIn, Laura Vann-LaRusso, and pick the one where there's more contact. I know she has a couple of
Yes,
account that she needs to cancel.
I
So
need to
look at the
cancel.
one that's more with the picture,
Mhm.
and then that's the one you want to reach. And do you have a gift for people too?
Yes, when you reach out to me, I can offer you a free 30-minute consultation because we have to determine if I'm a good fit for you. So
Hmm.
reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. I can provide you with an assessment and we can go from there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Denise.
And I'm guaranteeing you, even like 30 minutes talking with Laura, you'll get benefit just from being there and talking with her. And if you feel that she's a fit, if you feel that she's a fit, if you feel that she's a fit, if you see, that's fun to say. It's your fit. Then you can decide to hire. 10 weeks is short, but it's long and it's short. Like you'll learn a lot in that 10 weeks and it'll go just like that. I know when I have my own clients, I usually do 16 weeks and already like after 3 months, it's like, oh no, already three-quarter done, right? Like time
I
goes
can't
by
believe.
really fast when you're growing. So I thank you so much, Laura. It was such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank
And
you.
I look forward to get to know you more as we move forward. I think we can definitely support one another in different
Yes.
ways. And have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much.
So just stay there. I'll be right back with you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope and I'm sure you got lots of value out of this, if only to have a little bit more empathy towards us second language people. To when we express ourselves, sometimes things don't come out the way we want. Sometimes the pronunciation is not the way you say it. But as long as you understand us and the message is clear, that's what's important. And again, I remind you that if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch all my other video and click on the little bell so that you're being notified whenever my videos are coming up. So it's Denise Belisle at Denise Belisle. So youtube.com/ at Denise Belisle. And you can also book a call with me, either because you want to be on this show and you feel you have something of value you could bring to my listeners, or if you just want to explore more about what I do for my work, helping professional empty nesters rock the second half of their life so that they can shift from crisis to oasis. You don't have to be an empty nesters to get help with me, but it's one of the things I do also. So until next time, be kind to one another, have lots of empathy for your fellow human being, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.